Welcome to the monthly review of equities. Not financial advice, but just what we see and sharing it. So, um, dubious speculation as it is. Uh, let's uh, let's look at the dollar for a start. And this is obviously the monthly review. Last month in April, we did anticipate that we would have price going up, and it started going up. We've also closed green um, in in May, and I'd expect that we will go higher into June on the dollar. I think most likely outcome would be that you get a bit of a pullback to maybe somewhere here. It could come all the way up to this point here. I wouldn't expect us to go below here. So we could do a pullback before we go. It could come as shallow as to here before you go. So that's what I would expect. Obviously, we moved from on the monthly chart, when you move from a TS and you start seeing these green candles and MACD starts turning positive on the slow MACD and the fast MACD all turns positive, then you tend to start going back up again. So that's what I would expect to happen on the dollar. If we go and have a look at something similar here, so you can see here, it's a very similar story. We have our TS, we have our EW, and you go into a fall and you get some green bullish candles here. You can see that's exactly what happens. And then you go. So I'd expect this to creep up, but I think there is obviously a possibility of a pullback on this candle before. If you go quickly to the 4 hours, I don't normally do 4 hour reviews on this review, but we can see what is happening here. So yeah, so you could literally come back to about here, somewhere there to the 200, which is at 98.3, and then continue going to the upside. So that's the dollar. That's what we see on the dollar on the monthly view. Let's move on to our next one, which is gold. So gold, so last month we had red, and we did predict that we'll get another red candle, and we've had another red candle, another red close. I would expect that we would, on this monthly chart, we would continue going down, but before that, I would expect this to go up into this candle, similar to how this candle we went up into it. I'd expect us to come back into it. So you could see price maybe somewhere around 4,700 before the down starts to go. And after that, there is a potential after that for us to go back up again and take liquidity, because there's a lot of liquidity built up around here. So after this move to the downside, you can expect that it could take us all the way back up there. There's all, the scenario also could happen where you don't just stop here, but you continue going up here and clean up the liquidity here before. So, you know, into the month of June, I would expect some more weakness. Maybe a move up before, but I would expect some weakness on this. Until we start seeing some of these changing these candles here on the monthly chart, the downward move is not over yet. So I think we probably end up coming around here, 3.6, 3.7 before we tend to go properly to the upside. So, but there's a caution that expect a potential move to the upside first before the down continues on gold. Let's move on to silver. Okay, silver. Silver as well, as you can see, silver actually did better. We didn't close red. It actually took a lot of liquidity up here. So a lot of liquidity has been taken up here, and you've got your institutional ball on there, which means actually they are really selling hard now. They put a block on price. Again, I think you can expect that price might end up going up slightly here to maybe about 83, 80, between 80 and 83, 84, somewhere there, before you get your collapse back to the downside. I think anywhere between this zone here, around the 48 to 51, 50, 48 to about 55 zone here, if we get a good close off the back of that, then the bull can resume. So that's what we see on silver as well. Then let's move on to copper. So copper was one of the good charts, was one of the good charts last month. So not surprised to have seen a green candle as well. So I think we'll probably end up going higher first before the collapse. So this I'd expect us to go higher into June before any collapse will happen. So that's what we see on copper, and then let's move on to palladium. Palladium is finishing its pullback. So I think the pullback continues. Um, yeah, would expect that the pullback continues. It goes slightly lower, maybe to about here, and then get support to then go back up. So if you step it back to the weekly chart, you can see here this needs to be exceeded. It's where a low of 1285, and currently price is sitting at what a low of 1399. So once we exceed this to the downside, I think somewhere here would be a great place, 1100 zone. You can bounce here and then start going back the other way. So that's what we see on um, on palladium. Great buying opportunity on this one. I think it will go really high once the down here is resolved. So that'll be a good buying opportunity. It's a good buying opportunity on palladium. And then you go to platinum as well. Yeah, so platinum went up, took some liquidity. They went up and took liquidity off here and here. So now I'd expect it to continue going down. I think it probably comes all the way down to about 14, 50. That zone, it could zip a little bit slightly lower, but that's also another great buying opportunity as well, because this is going to go very high. So after we kind of creep here, after we resolve these issues here, maybe in the next, I'll say July, August, maybe September, it might form the necessary candle for us to go higher, and it will go really high. So palladium, great buying opportunity incoming on that one as well. Bit more downside first. Let's move on to oil. So oil has got an interesting pattern on it because this is going to go up. This high of 120 is not the end of the move. We would expect higher prices first. This pullback is a great opportunity to load up, really. I think it could even come all the way down to about 85, $87 before you get a resolution in terms of the upside. So that's what I would expect. I would expect July us to come down and then start the journey of going back up on this. This scenario here, it's very similar to probably here. It's very similar here, where you break the 200, then you come and do a retest. So you do a retest, and then if you're successful, you continue going up. That's exactly what I'd expect to happen here. So that's what I'm expecting on oil. That pullback has happened. Would expect higher prices into June after we resolve we resolve the gap which is down here. I think even if you go to like a daily chart for a view, so yeah, so there's a bit more downside on it, but it's not a lot left on it. As soon as you see on the daily chart a green candle, something like this, if you get something like this, a green close like this, or something like that, it'll be go time. It'll be go time. So I'll be tracking that for an entry on oil. Let's move on to Google. Have a look at Google. Right. So let's move it to the monthly. So Google is actually giving us the kind of indicator that we like to see for the end of the move. But I do expect us to go back into this candle. So I expect us to go back in maybe to about 394 before the real move to the 21 starts. If you move it to say a weekly chart, for example, You can see here we've got our MSW3, we've got our P3, and normally you do get a cleanup of liquidity to the upside here. So, it could be all the way back up to somewhere there. It could even shoot slightly higher before, but based on the monthly stop, I wouldn't expect us to go above it. I wouldn't expect us to go above this. I think we will probably eat into it and maybe somewhere there max, and then you continue the journey to the downside. So that's Google. Great buying opportunity coming when we obviously get to some of those prices around this end here. So that's Google. Let's move on to NASDAQ. So the NASDAQ also closed green, a very strong close on the monthly, or this is the weekly chart. But the monthly chart is a very strong close. And we've got an institutional buy on it. So I'd expect us to go higher first before anything happens. So into June, early June, I probably think there's two scenarios. We will definitely go higher than 30488 in June. But you could get a pullback first to maybe somewhere around this zone here before you get the move to the upside. If that scenario plays out, then you go much higher. Um, if you go higher first, then means the downside follows after that. I think if you look at the weekly chart, you can see that you are way outside the Bollinger Band, the KC band at I think it's 3.5 at the moment. If we do 4, if you make it 4, it's not yet outside 4, but from 3.6 onwards, it's all 3.6. Yeah, from 3.6 onwards, it becomes a bit too aggressive. It's like it's being overdone at that point, and you can see here on the chart, it normally doesn't. It's not able to even get anywhere near 3.6. It's only happened here, and even here, it could not really stay out it. It was just beneath it as well in the 2024 zone. And if you go here as well, you went outside it. Here you can see outside, but you came right back, rolling back in here as well, right back, roaring back in as well. So you could get something like this scenario here where it just you open the week, tries to go up slightly, and then you slam it down before you start, trying to go up again. So it is a bit hot on the Nasdaq. It's running a bit too hot at the moment. So I won't be surprised to see a slap back into the band. And if that happens before it goes up, then it'll go higher. Tries to go higher first before coming back in, then that will be the end of the move. It will be similar to the one on Google, where, for example, if you go back to your Google chart, you can see here, you can see that on the monthly chart, you can see shot up, you were outside the band and you went way higher before now coming down. That is the end of the move right there for you. Whereas if you'd come down and this had been downwards with the candle inverted turned around, you would say we're going higher first, right? So the Nasdaq depends on what you get. If you get a pullback straight away, then you'll go higher. If it goes higher first, then you're more likely to get, a pullback. I think it will probably go higher first because there are some unresolved institutional candles that we have. There's one. I think there's one somewhere. Was there one that I saw in 15 minutes or somewhere? Let's have a look here. That one is resolved. So we don't really have any activity really to go for to the top except for here. And this one has been exceeded as well. So I can't see anything here that says, look, I've got an activity to go for to the upside on any of my time frames currently. All of them seem to be resolved. So this is just a liquidity thing that may happen. So we don't really have any meaningful, anything meaningful for it to go for to the upside. So chances are, yeah, you take a bit of liquidity on the 15 minutes chart. We do have a trap long, so which means we could end up coming back up to retest somewhere here first. So you could come back to retest here. So 33.84, maybe go slightly higher first and then collapse to the downside, or you could continue going all the way up to here, 34.71, which on the weekly chart, you can see where it will bring you here. And this would be exactly the sort of thing that you will eat all the shorts because if you come here, you eat some of the shorts away. Stop losses are probably here. Stop losses are probably there. Going to be safe, your stop loss should probably be about 3.6, maybe 3.6-ish. Yeah, to be safe on a short. So I think they'll eat all the stops, most of the stops here before the move to the downside begins. Let's move on to the SPX. The SPX is also looking on the monthly chart. We have an institutional ball. We're going to go higher as well. So I've got the SPX topping up around 7.8. So we could shoot up to 7.850 even, 7.850 somewhere there, and then collapse back to the downside would be what we say. So in the month of June, you can expect price to kind of test this point here before you get a move to the downside. If you bring it to the 4-hour chart and have a look at immediate things here, I mean there isn't much by way of uh, unfinished business that I see to the top. Going through all the charts, I can't see any unfinished business that needs to be taken care of at the moment on these charts. So it's possible. Um, there's not much on it except for the monthly chart where it's still bullish and there's unfinished business to the upside. So there is unfinished business on this chart. The weekly chart, you could end up going, like I'm saying, you could end up stretching higher. And I think that comes from the monthly chart, the fact that it's still strong. So it could extend itself slightly more, maybe even to 7,700 to 7.8. This zone here, between here and here, that zone there, before you get a collapse to the downside. So, but it's definitely looking like the energy is not there. You can see all the, if you were to draw a line across these RSIs, you can see that it's not strong, right? It's not increasing in strength. So you can see here, it's not increasing in strength. And normally with these things like this, you get one that exceeds the middle as well. So it's not looking strong at the moment. So the monthly chart doesn't look strong. Look at the MACDs, how, this is the strongest MACD and you've got a lower and it's going lower and the price going higher. That's not a good sign. Okay, that's not good. And same as here as well. So you can see it's tailing off as well. So it's showing signs that, look, I'm getting tired and I'll need a cool off kind of thing. So that is the XBX. And I just want to also look at NVIDIA as well. So NVIDIA as well on the monthly chart, you can see here, again, it's now showing signs of weakness. We've got a P3 there, and now you take your liquidity off. We've taken the liquidity. Look at where our MACDs are. Look at where your height of MACDs are. And we go like a shooting star kind of thing here. You can take liquidity off, a little bit of liquidity back up to somewhere here, and I'd expect it to come all the way back down to somewhere here, $100 maybe, before you get your next leg to the upside. That's what we think on NVIDIA. So, and if I go to 4 hours to see if there's any unfinished business that I can see to the upside, and there isn't none that I can see here. And there isn't none here. There isn't any here. Right now, none there, none there. So there isn't much. The only thing will be a liquidity hunt. If there's any, it will be liquidity hunt off the back of here, off the back of this move here. You might get a liquidity move back up small before coming down, and that's possible. So but not much left in terms of an upside on NVIDIA currently as it looks like here. So I think those are the only equities that we tend to review. So we'll leave it here and wish you all the best in the month of June. Take care and God bless.